One of the all-time greats at the University of Alabama, Leroy Jordan. Sir, I hope you're doing well. Welcome into the game in T-Town.
Man, I am doing great. After that ball game, one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my, my lifetime. So it's so many big plays and such a commitment from both teams. It was just a thing of beauty to watch.
Leroy, we wanted to get you on to talk about Coach Bryant, and as we pay special tribute to him today, we do it a couple of times a year, and we do it throughout the year. We've got audio clips that we play to pay respect to Coach Bryant, the foundation that he laid here at the University of Alabama, the birthday, September the 11th, and the anniversary of his passing. Let's go back 33 years. When you heard the news that Coach Bryant had passed away, where were you? What went through your mind?
Well, I was in Dallas, and naturally I was shocked to no end. I just couldn't believe it happened, but I talked to his secretary a few times during that last season, and she had, talked to me, about his health conditions during that year, and it was not an easy year for him. But it was certainly the shocking thing when I heard that Coach Bryant had passed, and, it just retired, a month earlier, or retired in December and passed away in January.
Right.
33 years ago, he was still a young man, but, I know he'd worked himself hard and, all his life, and but we were just totally shocked that something could happen like that at such an early age.
One thing that we have in common that we look at Coach Bryant, the players played so hard for him. What was it in his motivation skills that allowed you guys to lay it all on the line every time you went out on that football field?
Well, his teaching was that he wanted you the best that you could be. He wasn't wanting you to play the very best for him. He wanted you to do it for yourself and the teammates, and that was always his preaching. He wanted you to be the best you could possibly be as a player, and best you could be as a teammate, and that was his emphasis all the time. And he didn't want you to be as good as somebody else or better than somebody else. He wanted you to be the best you could be on every play, and that's what he taught and tried to get across to us. And I think the biggest part of it, none of us wanted to disappoint him when he was asking us to do this thing for ourselves and our families and our teammates and our fans, and so we wanted to be the best we could do. We could be every play, not part-time, but every play we played.
When I look back at Coach Bryant, is there something that he said that you still use today, not just in the game of football that you were so successful at, but in the game of business where you own a lumber company, in your daily life, a value that maybe you teach to your grandkids, something that he taught you that you can pass on to the generations behind you?
Well, I still have his little outline of philosophy how to be successful, and it's right here on my desk, and I can get it at any time and read over it and kind of refresh my memory of how hard you have to work to be successful. You got to have honesty and integrity and hard work in anything you do that you want to be successful in. And I go back and look at those things often to just remind myself and my employees that that's really what it takes to be successful. And, he had such a great group of head coaches that admired him and were friends of his, Woody Hayes, Darrell Royal, Frank Boyle, Shug Jordan. And so many of the guys that he produced were those same type coaches. You know, Jerry Claiborne, Phil Cutchins, Howard Snellenberger, Gene Stallings, and you know, and the players that played with us and went on to be coaches. You know, Ray Perkins, Bill Oliver, Bill Battle, Mal Moore, and Pat Dye, and Richard Williamson, and just the whole group of them that went on to be very, very good coaches with the lessons they learned from Coach Bryant.
And we're 8 days away from National Signing Day, and Alabama, Nick Saban's going out selling the program and being able to say, hey, if you come to Alabama, chances are you're going to win a national title, an SEC title. When I look back at your recruiting days, Alabama was not winning national titles. 61, which you were a part of there, you won a national title. What was the sales pitch? What was it that you bought in, whoever was recruiting you to Alabama? I know you were from the state, but talk about the decision to come to the University of Alabama.
Well, it was, you know, I was just hoping to get an offer, being from a small school, high school, XL High School in XL, Alabama. So, but Auburn had shown some interest, and Southern Miss had shown some interest, and Alabama had shown quite a bit of interest my senior year. They came to all the games. Coach Bobby Drake Keith and Gene Stallings kind of switched off on coming down to see me. Mostly with Bobby Drake Keith because that was his area. You know, it's changed so much now because now we're nationwide recruiting, and then it was, you know, you recruited Georgia a little bit, and Florida a little bit, and Alabama and Mississippi a little bit, and you might get one every year or two out of Louisiana, but and one or two out of Tennessee. But that was kind of it was a localized recruiting deal back then, and so I was just thrilled that they invited me to come to the University of Alabama, and I committed to Coach Bryant the first time he talked to me in his office, sitting behind that big old desk up there, and I'm sitting on that lowly couch over there with the alumni from Monroeville that took me up there. And he said, Leroy, we want you to come to the University of Alabama. We think you can be successful in our program. And I said, yes, sir. And that was about the only thing I said. The whole conversation was yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Whatever he said, I had yes, sir down really good to it.
Well, Leroy, we talked with Joe Namath a few months ago here on our program, and you know, he said the first time he met Coach Bryant, he said the first thing that went through me is he was a giant. I mean, he was tall at 6'4", and that
big man, yeah.
But looking at that, there's no way that you could have said no when he popped that question out there.
No, he just invited me to come to play, and I'd heard about the type players he wanted, and I thought I fit in it extremely well because he wanted quick, hardworking guys that may not have to be the biggest in on the playing field to win championships, and so he believed in the quick and the fast guys that could get the job done. So I fit his type recruiting pretty good, and so it worked out for us that many of us went for that same reason because we thought we fit in with Coach Bryant.